He's just going to talk about how they've been targeted for a long time.
They have been targeted for a long time. Palestine has targeted Israel.
And Israel has targeted
decades.
Palestine.
Welcome to the Young Patriots. I'm your host, Devin Romero, and we're with our co-host, Aidan MacArthur, and we're with our return guest, Jeffrey.
Mm-hmm.
How does it feel to be back on the show?
I'm going to be honest with you. I wish I wasn't here because of what I'm going to talk about today, because
It's some ugly stuff.
it is. It's like some of the stuff does keep me up at night, and I don't see enough of this in the news. And like I'm just look at like the data and stuff of all the violence and atrocities that people are willing to commit other people for power and for culture wars and proxy wars and dehumanization, and it like makes me so sick. And I hate just sitting around like seeing what I see on my phone and not being able to do anything. But I remembered that I came on here once and there was positive reception. My parents also watched this episode and they congratulated me for it. They think I had a good conversation with you guys, and I like some platform to at least to spread what I know and what I believe. And this really is and I thank you for giving me like the time to do so, because if I don't talk about this, I don't feel like anyone else will on this campus.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's what we're all about. I love being able to give people a voice, and I hope that our audience will continue to grow so that more people can hear what anyone that we interview has to say and can learn and grow from those experiences. So yeah, thanks for being back on the podcast. So let's go ahead and get right into it. You're going to be talking about some of the different wars and conflicts that are going on currently overseas, how America's involvement ties into them, what we should or shouldn't do about it, and we'll just start there.
Yeah, I first want to start with what I think a lot of people are familiar with now is the war in the Gaza Strip and being fought by Israel and Hamas. And quickly go over the history, because I mean I just go through like what happened since 2023 when the October 7th attack happened, because the history of the Palestinians and the Israelis is a long-going conflict that has lasted for decades and usually has involved Israel oppressing the Palestinian people into submission in the Gaza Strip and the West Bank. And it's been going on for, okay, I already said that, but yeah, it's been going on for decades, and neither side has reached any resolution. And but the events of since October 7th have truly shown like the worst of humanity, in my opinion. So we first started on October 7th, 2023, which is a day that still haunts me because it was when Hamas broke through the barrier of the Gaza Strip, went down the main roads, and just slaughtered any Israeli families in their homes that they found, killing men, women, and children. And they launched thousands of missiles into Israel, killing hundreds more. And they attacked a music festival where they shot at Hamas fighters, shot at people, and there were over the count is 30 women who were brutally raped by Hamas fighters, and over 100 people were dragged back from Hamas vehicles into the Gaza Strip and taken as hostage. And of course, any nation that has an attack like this has the right to defend themselves. But what Israel did quickly made them the bad guys in this situation, because since the beginning, the call from the Biden administration, White House, was very quick to respond and to tell Benjamin Netanyahu that he would help them. And the plan, like from the beginning, was actually pretty good. It started with, and okay, well, actually, before I get into this, I had to mention that Israel is very much to blame for the Hamas attack on October 7th, because this plan was was almost 3 years in the making, and Israel, at my sources here, they caught wind of the battle plan to invade Israel from the neighboring Gaza, and they just did completely nothing. And it says right here from an article from NPR, that is the main conclusion of an investigation by Israel's Shin Bet agency into the colossal security failure, Hamas attack, single deadliest day in Israel's history, when 1,200 people were killed and 251 people taken hostage. And the first inquiry is Israel's main agency was tasked with spying on Hamas into why Israel failed to detect. Okay, wait. Okay, sorry, I need to...
That's fine, yeah.
This is why I need to highlight sections of these.
So yeah, the thing is, I think it's interesting and curious that you were saying that it's specifically Israel's fault that the October 7th attack happened. I don't know if I'd go so far as to say that. I do appreciate that you talked about how gruesome that attack was, that it was Hamas that committed that attack, that they were the aggressor and all those types of things. I appreciate that you're talking about those things, because a lot of times it doesn't really get discussed, and when it does, people try to make it like that's not what actually happened. But it is. Israel got attacked, and whether they overstepped or not is a different discussion. I mean, think about what would happen right now. Let's say Mexico attacked us, and it was missiles over the border. It was, people coming in with guns, and that they were raping our women, and that they were killing our children. What do you think would be America's response? Do you think we might eviscerate Mexico until they submit and until they surrender? Like, we wouldn't destroy just to destroy. But do you think that we would let them stand as a nation after that?
Definitely not.
Would we consume it into our border? I don't think so. I don't think we would make Mexico a part of America. But I absolutely think that we would stop at nothing to ensure that whatever government was responsible, if it was a government, and if not, it was inaction on the government's part from preventing these vigilantes, which is what Hamas is, from going in and hurting people, we absolutely would have neutered the country in regard to its political power. So I do think it's very interesting sometimes how our perspectives look at Israel compared to what would absolutely happen if it was America. And I think a lot of people would think we were weak if we didn't do that.
Exactly. But I wanted to get back into it. I found what I was trying to look for.
Yep, I was just giving you time.
Israel, the way that they failed to detect this attack from happening, they maintained a policy of calm with Hamas, which allowed the group's massive buildup. Israel allowed Qatar to transfer millions of dollars to Hamas to fund its governing bureaucracy in Gaza. Israel falsely thought Hamas was trying to inflame tensions of the Israeli-occupied West Bank rather than maneuvering to invade Israel from Gaza. Israel thought its border barrier with Gaza, a system of fences and walls, was more fortified than it actually was, because they broke through the border and were able to drive on the main roads to kill people. And they had a poor network of spies in Gaza following a botched intelligence operation in Gaza that Hamas uncovered in 2018. And Hamas's decision to attack when it did was due to confluence of three factors: Israel's practice regarding religious Jewish ultranationalist activities at the Al-Aqsa Mosque, pardon me if I don't pronounce that right, which also referred in Judaism, They also attacked because of Israel's treatment of Palestinian prisoners, which has hardened under Israel's far-right government, and the perception that Israel's social cohesion was weakened, which was at the time of domestic Israeli street protesters over Netanyahu's weakening of the country's judiciary. So it was a lot of corruption that led to, or incapability that led to these attacks being found out and just being completely sat on, while Hamas was being built up and ready to kill innocent Israeli people. And they can't just sit on this, of course, but the way that Israel handled this is just complete evil. And
wait, so if I'm understanding you correctly, I'm seeing a parallel between this and Pearl Harbor. So we got attacked with Pearl Harbor. We lost a lot of people because of it. are you basically, if I were to kind of combine the two analogies, okay, use Pearl Harbor as an analogy for this, would you basically suggest that instead of us getting attacked by the Japanese, which, I mean, if you watch the movie Midway, not that that's historically accurate necessarily, but one of the things they say in there is that this is the greatest intelligence failure of the history of the United States, okay? I'd say that's a pretty fair claim to make, regardless of if someone actually said that in history. So let's say that we've had this giant intelligence failure and we get attacked at Pearl Harbor by the Japanese. It almost sounds a lot like, to me, you're suggesting that it would have been better for us to have preliminarily attacked Japan instead of being attacked, and it's our fault that our ships are now at the bottom of Hawaii.
Well, I'm not saying that we should have preliminary attacked like Japan.
You're not saying that Israel should have attacked first and stopped
not
the
saying
unrest
that at all. But they knew about these operations going on. They had capability to stop it. They had evidence and documents that they were sitting on for years that Shin Bet, their intelligence agency, had, and they just did nothing about it. Because of that, 1,200 people lost their lives.
What are you suggesting that they should have done instead?
You should have. Well, I mean, they say that they can't do anything about Hamas being the ruling over Gaza, but literally Gaza is just a straight open air prison. There are over 2 million people in that small stretch of square miles, which is more crowded than New York. They have a total blockade over the sea. And Egypt, although it borders Gaza, there's no way they're just going to let a bunch of people just pass through their border and everything. Mm-hmm. And again, Israel has the most fortified military in the world.
But you don't want them to use it. You're not encouraging them to use it.
Using them to sabotage any plans that Hamas is building up. But I also want to mention the fact that they should have stopped the money flow coming from Qatar, which notably funding Hamas, and Bibi Netanyahu, the president himself, literally sent literal suitcases of money across the border in Gaza to Hamas to help build them up and create a new enemy that they can have an excuse to attack and blame on.
I've heard that claim. Again, I'm going to be really careful about all of this. I don't know who I trust. I don't know. How do you go about navigating the situation? You've got people that are saying Israel's taking supplies from the UN and other charitable organizations that are dropping off food supplies to Palestine, that Israel's raiding it. No, it turns out it's Hamas that's raiding it. And Hamas is affecting the newspapers that are being published out of Palestine.
There's also civilians raiding food trucks before they could cross into Gaza.
Right. So, but you have to understand that there are two different sources here, and both of them are at war. Yes. All the information we get, even our news outlets, all that information they're getting are from sources in the country. That stuff is going to be skewed. If you're on the Israeli side, you're probably going to see a lot of pro-Israel propaganda, and vice versa if you're on the opposite side. So that's what I don't know who to trust in those situations. I wouldn't be shocked if both sides have something to gain. But let's assume that what you just said is 100% accurate for the sake of talking about this principle.
A news source that takes the side and it talks about the deaths of Palestine does not make them a Palestinian source per se.
Al Jazeera is a Palestinian source, though.
No, they're Qatar. They're Qatar-based, and I'm not agreeing with Al Jazeera. I don't use Al Jazeera, anyways, because again, I don't trust sources that are owned by a government.
Right, and that's all I'm getting.
Except for publicly funded things like PBS and NPR. Those ones
I don't trust those either. But
you may not, but I trust them.
So. But that's what I'm getting at is, let's just assume that everything you said is true. Totally possible. Totally plausible. I could totally see it happening. You have a Israel leader giving money to his enemy to prop them up so that he can instigate war, so that he could, one of three things probably: expand the borders of Israel, not lose an election because he was becoming unpopular in Israel, or put the election process on hold is another thing I've heard. I don't know if they actually did that or if it's how that's going. But that's another thing I've heard. Or he just really hates Muslims. He really hates Palestinians and wants to kill them. So like those are your three options at that point. Maybe he has some sort of option where he gets to make a boatload of money while he's doing it. But there's probably one of these other three options. Let's say that's happening. I absolutely detest that. I think if that's the case, then Benjamin Netanyahu, the prime minister, I believe it is, of Israel, is a detestable person. If that's true. Here's the thing. How do you prove that? I don't know where you can determine that that actually happened. If I see the photographic evidence of him with, I don't know, a note or whatever, something that proves that this transfer took place, that's the whole reason that they're taking a suitcase full of cash, is because how do you trace it? If you could trace it and you prove that that's what was going on, bro's going to get, demoted.
Okay, well, the audience at home can can look this up for yourself. But another reason I don't trust Netanyahu is his own words, because he follows Zionism, which Zionism is an evil. It's an evil
describe
form.
Zionism.
Zionism is it's an ultra nationalist view of Israel and Judaism, that like the Israel people are like that that it's completely their land and stuff, even though like most of the Israelis that that are in there now came from Europe during the Holocaust, and
They're still Jew.
They're still Jews, but there were also Jews in like Palestine before the British created a nation of Israel. And for the longest time, like now they've been setting up, they own the West Bank right now. It's, even though they say they're like independent or stuff, but they're violating international law by building their settlements onto the Palestinian land. And there's also something that Bibi said himself, because Bibi immediately said, like in his meeting with Biden and his team, like Anthony Blinken, that he wants to kill every single member of Hamas. But the Biden administration, specifically Biden, was quick to remind him that not all Palestinians are Hamas, and Bibi never took their word for that.
No, yeah.
And that's dangerous. And it's also the fact that Biden, in his own political experience, it being the vice president for Obama and being in was it the representative or the House? Was it the House or the Senate that he worked in during the Bush administration? But we know that we've tried to kill an entire group of terrorists, and that's just not possible because they come from an ideology, and you can't just simply kill an ideology. We tried that with our own wars, and it never worked.
I agree. I really agree with that.
Israel responds to this by killing over what is now estimated to be around 70,000 people dead in the Gaza, mainly civilians and not Hamas fighters in the Gaza Strip. Relentless bombing and stuff. Relentless bombing, depriving them of food and water, creating a whole famine. There are over 17,000 of the people killed are children.
You do realize that Hamas is taking food and water away from people. So get this, okay? Let's all admit and agree that Hamas is the real problem here, okay? Hamas is a terrorist organization. Even the left, like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and other individuals like her in the Senate and in the House, they have even started coming out, Chuck Schumer, saying that Hamas is a terrorist organization and they need to cease and desist. They need to stop what they're doing. That's who the real enemy is here. If Hamas did not do what they did on October 7th, none of this would be happening right now. I don't think that this would be happening if it was just the Palestinian people left to their own devices. But Hamas has control of the government in Palestine. Hamas has control of the school system in Palestine. Hamas has control of the society. And they're doing that. Part of the ways that they're doing that is they are taking the food and water from people. So I've seen videos of it where so in Palestine, they have these like water vessels basically, and that's like their well basically. They stock up water and they get the water from Israel. Israel pumps water over to them, and they were talking about how they were getting less and less water. Well, the problem was Hamas has been harvesting those resources and stealing it from the people. So here's the problem. You're Israel, you're giving food and water to Palestine and supporting them, helping them. That's not something that a genocidal nation does, first off. Second of all, basically, if you're giving this food and water to these people in Palestine and they're not even getting the food, who are you actually feeding? You're feeding the terrorists. And I think they understand that. I'm not going to deny that they might have either done horribly violent things and made terrible missteps and even murdered people at war. Like, I'm not afraid to say that is a possibility, and maybe even likely.
Like, Israel and the IDF just defends like the food trucks and stuff coming in, like, because they could totally do that and stuff, but Israel's been blocking food aid, which they would have helped win the war better, and if they had just been giving more aid to the people of Gaza, something in just a few days, like after October 7th, Tony Blinken, the Secretary of Defense for Biden's White House, he managed to get the countries of Jordan, the Emirates, Saudi Arabia, and even the Qataris on board with creating a plan, because all of those countries hate Hamas too.
Yes.
Because Hamas encourages anarchy and is a threat to their rules. Well, they're not good leaders, but they're not great leaders or people, but they're willing to help. But they also ask that food trucks be sent in. But Netanyahu selfishly denied that, and other acts of, and it's taken so long for. I have two pieces of reports here from the UN that talk about how Israel has committed genocide and how they've committed crimes against humanity. One of them is the deliberate destruction of health infrastructure, providing sexual and reproductive health care, combined with lack of access and availability to health care, a violation of women's and girls' reproductive rights.
To me, all I hear there is an abortion clinic. I don't know how that's genocidal.
Well,
it's like
abortion is genocide, but I understand where you both are coming from right now.
Help women with reproductive health.
I know.
Which does not just involve abortions.
But
it doesn't mean abortion. It also means
it is. Well, that's what it means here in the United States. What it would mean somewhere else.
It's frequently
for health screenings, STD screenings.
Yes, on paper, but
cancer screenings.
When someone's talking about protect women's reproductive health, they're not talking about those other issues. No one's talking about banning those screenings. When they talk about
Hamas would never have an abortion clinic in Gaza. That wouldn't happen.
I don't know. I'm just saying that's what I think of. Now, I do know that there was a hospital that they did bomb, and I don't know all the details about it.
They bombed every hospital in Gaza. They bombed every university, any building you think of. They bombed, and there have been targeted shootings towards civilians. It's undisputable.
Well, if Hamas is running the government and running the schools and the hospitals and everything, then target those things. If it's government facilities, essentially.
Well, why not just, instead of doing relentless bombings and carpet bombing all of Gaza, just actually send in troops on the ground? Sure, it's going to be more dangerous, and there will be soldiers on the ground who will lose their lives, but it's so much better than needless violence and targeting of civilian areas.
No, so that's exactly what would happen if they send boots into on the ground.
Israel's the most fortified military in the world. I said.
So think about it. Think about it. Do you want to know one of the most dangerous?
It is true. It's literally true.
We live in the United States of America. But
he said one.
I didn't say strongest. I said most fortified.
We don't need to yell, but yeah,
he
did say one of. So here's the thing. You want to know one of the most dangerous places for a tank to go? One of the most fortified vehicles, one of the more fortified things of something that moves that's not on water, is in a city. What happens is someone jumps on top of the tank, they drop a charge on the tank or down the cupola, which is the port that people come in and out of the tank from. They can disable its tracks, they can damage its weapon, and it has zero capabilities of defending itself. That's why they go in convoys, and that's why they rarely enter city limits. It's one of the most dangerous places for them to go. Just because you're a tank doesn't mean that you're invulnerable. So take a tank, and now instead of it being a tank, it's a team of 20 people, and you send them into a city. Sure, they have better ability to react to threats. But do you not think that a bomb set in a building that they enter is going to detonate and kill all 20 of them? That absolutely happens.
And you also remember that there are that we have bomb defusing technology that we could, as the U.S. as like being a big funder of Israel, can provide them. And I also want to ask you. I want to ask you this: what's like the point of which is found in the report that Israel's security forces have deliberately killed, detained, and tortured medical personnel? And is there any excuse for the almost 80 journalists that have been killed in missile strikes and shootings and stuff?
That's like casualties that happen because of war, and they're not.
It's
not good at all. It's absolutely unfortunate, but that's just what happens in war.
The medical people...
There's nothing you can do to get around it.
The medical people, if they were not actually trying to hurt someone and take someone's life, I do detest that. That's an example of something. That's just a thing that everyone knows not to do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. If they're performing abortions, then I support them having to deal with some issues.
What about the other countries that have nothing to do with this that they bomb? Israel has also been bombing Beirut. They've bombed Lebanon. They've bombed
I wouldn't
Qatar.
Be able to speak
they've
to it.
bombed.
This is my principle. If they were being attacked, or if they believed they were going to be attacked, and they have the paper trail for it, then I think they are justified in attacking. I don't think they need to wait.
It's justified to set off a whole bomb in a Qatari building where other people can be killed.
My understanding is they did try to evacuate Gaza and other buildings that they were targeting, like that hospital that supposedly had a Hamas base below ground.
Yeah, that's what people are saying. They're like, oh yeah, they sent flyers down. There's raining flyers. Tell them to get out of there. But there's reports on that are very vague, and there's reports of confusing information being sent.
Do you admit that Hamas frequently uses Palestinian civilians as body shields to catch bullets and to dissuade Israeli soldiers from attacking them?
But would that be an excuse to actually fire? I don't know if let's say a man came into here and he took someone you love. Maybe it's one of the other 4 people in this room, and he held us and he grabbed us, held us in a chokehold, and had a gun to our heads and was saying we're gonna kill him. And you have a gun too, so you aim it at him to stop. But meanwhile they're using the hostage as a human shield. Would you and you just fire at them anyway? Is that a good way to respond? If I were the families of the hostages that were still in Gaza while this bombing was going on, I would be horrified. And the fact that they got all the hostages released out of Gaza, and Israel still violated the peace deal that Trump tried to get in, because Netanyahu is a bad guy. He's a bad guy.
That's fine. I won't argue that. Just out of sheer I don't know. But yes, I know. But what's going on here is I think we have lost touch with reality. Can I just tell everyone here? War is ugly. It's a horrible, horrible thing. And guess what? Unfortunately, it is a reality of the terrible fallen world that exists. And there's problems with it. I'm not condoning it. I am not condoning genocide. I'm not condoning murder. None of it. But you have to admit that war has taken place for millennia now, okay? And war has always been gruesome. It has always been terrible. For instance, do you know how many tons of bombs were dropped on German civilians? We needed to stop the Nazis, right? Do you want to know how many civilians we killed in Germany from our bombing raids? Did we target factories? Absolutely. Did we target runways? Absolutely. Did you know the Norden bomb site was falsely advertised to be very precise? It had lots of problems, and they still had to carpet bomb. Carpet bombing inevitably results in mass casualties. How many people were in shelters below ground, hiding from above ground American bombs? We think real proudly of our efforts, and I am in support of us trying to stop Nazis from taking global control. But we think proudly of this, and we don't take a moment to think how many families were scared in those German bunkers. How many of them weren't part of the Nazi regime? How many of them were defectors that were just trying to escape? How many of them had plans to leave Germany the next week and they died in a bunker or in their house? We don't think about this. And the British did it. The other nations in Europe did it. Germany did it to Europe. Like, that's what we're dealing with here. There is no such thing as a nonviolent war. Now, granted, there are things that go in excess and beyond. It was determined that putting a flamethrower into a Japanese, it also happened to Americans, or American cave and torching people with a flamethrower is a violation of human rights. I'm fine with that. It's a terrible, gruesome way to die. So is by mustard gas. So there are things that I think cross a line, but you cannot expect anyone to follow international law in war. They're going to do their own thing. International law means nothing, first off. But on top of that, war is gruesome. I don't like it. I do not love it. I hate that. I despise that. But you have to admit that this is a reality. To answer your question, I have no idea what I would do in that situation. I do not know what I would do. If you have a terrorist and they are using a person as a body shield and they're going to kill you, I don't know what I would do. Would I freeze and not know what to do? Would I hide? Can I hide? Are there bombs around me that are blowing up out of the ground because I'm walking in the area? Like, are there 10 guys that are going to surround me and block me in? I'm going to lose my whole team. Like, we don't understand and we don't give enough thought to what the person behind the gun in a war has to go through. And a lot of these people, they're 18-year-olds. They're 20-year-olds. They haven't even grown up. They don't even know what adult life is yet. And they're these young kids getting sent into this heinous conflict, and we're expecting them to make perfect decisions. Again, not condoning the gruesome extremities that are outliers typically in these things where people, again, rape or actually murder, even in a war situation, or carelessly bomb civilians, all that stuff. I did test all of that. But you have to acknowledge, do you want to know how many civilians we killed in Islamic countries?
I'm going to stop you right there because you've been talking loud.
I
am tired of the narratives that there has to be some kind of villain in a war. With World War II, it was different. Well, it does because
both sides could be the villain.
They are, and I feel like you're refusing to acknowledge that and just dismiss everything that I've been saying and what Israel's clearly done and what the many studies that I have right here that are
I was agreeing with you.
The horrible things Israel's doing.
I was agreeing with you.
And I'm tired of making the excuses for it when there's people that need to charge. I'm not just gonna pretend I can acknowledge that there are two bad guys, but I'm also not gonna say that they're both equal because they're not.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying they're equal.
And there's a huge difference between killing 1,200 people straight murder and then killing 70,000 people and claiming it's retaliation.
No, yeah.
I'm done with that.
If you're just thing, you said you're going to talk about history. I'm still waiting for you to do that because ever since 1950,
I have been talking about history. I've been talking about the events since this war. And I mentioned before that
1950s and stuff. Because when
he's just going to talk about how they've been targeted for a long time.
They have been targeted for a long time. Palestine has targeted Israel.
And Israel has targeted
decades.
Palestine. And
I'm going to finish.
They're the ones that
Palestine has targeted Israel for decades now. And you mentioned that Britain gave that area of Israel for Israel and Palestine to share. Mm-hmm. At one point, there was a 30-70 compromise. Israel was going to get the short end of the stick. Palestine 5 or 6 times throughout history in the 50s, in the 70s, early 2000s, and in between there, kept saying, no, we're not doing that. There are 3 big no's, I can't exactly remember them, that Palestine said against Israel. There's no cooperation, no making deals. And
was it compromise was the other one?
Was it no compromise? I think so. All this just against Israel for dozens and dozens of years.
Which doesn't justify if they are, I don't believe they're committing genocide. I don't think they're actually targeting citizens.
Nothing ever justifies genocide, but it absolutely justifies them fighting and killing Hamas leaders and soldiers, targeting them.
Yeah.
Hamas, yes. Targeting them, absolutely justified. It's the same thing as someone walking into my house at night and trying to hurt my family.
Self-defense.
So you're just saying that genocide is justified?
No, he said it's not. He said killing
any
Hamas
genocide is always bad.
He said killing Hamas.
But trying to target Hamas.
Killing Hamas, but also starting a genocide as well.
Hey, if Hamas is big enough to where killing all of them is a genocide, then I'm all for it.
They're not all Hamas, though.
They're not that.
They're not all Hamas. He's just saying
they're not all Hamas, but Israel does not think that.
And there they go saying I'm supporting genocide.
Well, if that's the case, I detest that. I want to be very clear about that. If I am wrong and I am supposing that they are not killing civilians out of targeting them, not out of accident or happenstance, if they are actually targeting civilians and that 70,000 civilian count is accurate and it's from just them shooting at people randomly, I detest that. That is evil, and whoever does that should be jailed.
I agree.
Like, Israel should crack down on that. Said, listen, you just killed someone and they were a civilian and they didn't do anything to hurt you. You know?
If it was intentional towards a civilian, then yeah, absolutely.
And a civilian that wasn't trying to harm the soldier. Because there are instances where that does happen, where a civilian is not part of Hamas, but they're radical Islam, and they attack and try to kill one or more soldiers. So in that case, that's still self-defense if they kill that person. But yes, if it's just needless and careless killing of civilians, who in their right mind would say that, oh yeah, I'm okay with that? I'm not. I'm not at all okay with that. That's why I'm saying I think we agree more than you realize. All I'm trying to make sure is that we're being balanced in how we're looking at this. If it's genocide and I'm wrong, and I'm open to that, I'm open to confessing that. If I discover that I am wrong, I will feel absolutely terrible, and I will say, Israel, you absolutely need to stop what you're doing right now. Hamas is evil, but you cannot harm civilians that are not trying to harm you. I have no hesitation in saying that.
I agree.
I just don't know who's right. Who's telling me the truth about how many people in Palestine were killed, and whether they were harmless civilians or threats. And how am I supposed to know, what Israel is doing if Israel's not going to talk about what they're doing? You better bet that Israeli news isn't going to talk bad about and expose what Israel's doing wrong.
Well, my advice to that is just listen to what the leaders are saying, and just don't find out from the media. Look at what's going on in Gaza. Look at the videos of the people who filmed. They were probably dead by now because they blew up a whole building claiming there was Hamas cameras peeking out or something. And listen to what the world leaders are saying. Listen to what the people who are actually experiencing this are saying, and form your own opinion. And don't listen to
for sure
and don't just listen to these to these authoritarian lunatics who just want to use this atrocity to push their own agenda and push their own beliefs.
Yep.
I agree. I think
which is what Netanyahu and his cabinet of lunatics are doing to promote their Zionistic views and to try and get the Palestinian land all for themselves and just throw them all out.
Do you understand though when people say from the river to the sea Palestine will be free refers to pushing all of the Israeli population out of that area, whether that is by genocide or by relocation?
Said the exact same thing, though. He said the exact same thing in one of his speeches, that he wants to push all of the Palestinians in the West Bank and the Gaza out from the Middle Sea, and that's what they're trying to do by carpet bombing Gaza and by putting up illegal settlements.
Yeah, if they're doing
in the
that,
West Bank.
If they're doing that,
they are
that's
doing
wrong.
That.
That's wrong.
That's exactly what they're doing. Why are you saying if?
Because again, I've been very clear with you that I am trying to be very careful on this. I don't know who to trust. What source do you trust on this? That's what I'm talking about.
Here's what Americans...
I don't just trust one individual source.
I'm not saying that, but
that's what we need to determine is what source do we trust. And frankly, I don't.
We don't need to use source in singular. We can say sources in plural. But that's why
my point is the same.
I almost think you
can't.
You
need media literacy too to find the biases, which is what I'm learning in my comparative politics class.
I feel like this conversation right now, first off, this conversation has happened a lot across America, and it's a good conversation to have. But at the end of the day, what Americans need to learn isn't this side and that source and this source and Netanyahu and this person. Okay. What we need to learn is people are dying because of war. People get slaughtered, people get raped, horrible things happen. So let's make sure that war doesn't happen here.
Yeah, the America First concept.
Because absolutely, I wish the best for
like the Qatari
civilians
airport in Idaho.
and innocent
Absolutely
people
right.
in the
We'll talk
Middle
about it.
East. But if you live in America, I hope you're America first, regardless of your political stances, everything. Like,
Well,
let's
the thing
make
is,
our
America
nation
first is a nationalist statement,
There's
and
no-
I
Let's talk
believe
about that.
that
Let's talk
everyone in
about
the
it.
world is equal. I don't believe in the saying that.
Yeah.
I don't believe that we're superior.
No,
anyways,
it's-
when
I don't believe we're
think-
superior either.
I think we've been the terrorists many times.
Yeah, I would agree
Let's
with
put
you,
a pin in
actually.
that
I'd
for
agree
sure.
with you.
Let's put a pin in that for sure, because I do want to talk about that. I'm not trying to say that Americans are better than anybody, that white people are better than anybody. I don't believe any of that. We're all equal children under the same God, whatever God that is you believe in. And
Okay, I believe you there.
yeah, what we need to do is protect our society.
Yep.
Call it a nation if you want, but we can't let ourselves go to war. We're this close to a civil war. And it's partly because of, you having your sign back there, the stuff going on in Minnesota, that's part of it. And we need to stop trying to fix other people's problems and make sure that we prevent the fires happening in our own country.
That is
So
true.
let's look at the war and see all this horrible stuff going on. It's of my opinion that our generation needs to see war, needs to live war and go serve in the military.
that they will live it.
Well, they will if we're not careful, but I want
Yep.
them to go out and see horrible things. Not so that they can be traumatized, but so that they can appreciate the
Life.
damn good life that they have in this
Unbelievable.
in this nation.
He's not encouraging war.
I
He's
don't
saying
want
wake
trauma.
up to the reality that these things happen.
I don't want people to be traumatized. I do not want war.
Yeah,
Sorry, I'm
except
not
that
crying.
is
My voice
happening
cracked.
to the people
But-
that are experiencing war.
Exactly, and let's
Actually.
learn from that. Let's not
Let's just
bring
learn
that
about how
violence
good
here.
we have it. Let's ignore the poor people.
No,
That's
no,
not
no,
what
no,
I'm saying.
no.
Being affected
That's not
by
what.
war and
Good
displaced
night, my voice.
in their homes.
That's
I'm just getting over being sick, by the
I
way.
don't
So
care if that's what you're not intending. That's clearly what the
Well,
message
let's-
is that's being saying.
let's be
And
clear
it's
about
open
it.
to
well, if
interpretation.
you understand
to
that I'm
anyone
not
who's
intending
watching
it, I
this.
think you know darn well what I'm trying to say, and it's
I
fine.
genuinely don't.
Okay,
No,
well then let me make it clear. Can I have about 30 seconds to make it clear?
by all means.
I do not want anyone to be traumatized by war. I don't want war to happen anymore. But we need to realize that, yeah, we do have it freaking good in the United States of America. And we need to protect that and keep it the way it is. And once we have fixed ourselves and made a peaceful nation with ourselves, then we can start helping other people. That's biblical. And that's what I want. If my words are not getting that across, they just did. So
He's not saying America only. He's saying America first.
America first.
For instance, if
Yeah.
you can't take care of your own kids, how are you going to go over to your neighbor's house and say, by the way, I'm going to feed your kids because you can't do it. I'm going to feed
Yeah,
your
that's
kids.
dog trash.
You let your own kids starve. So that's all we're saying is we need to make sure that we have enough security in our nation, and right now we don't. We need to
Absolutely
have
not.
enough unity in our nation, and right now we don't. And then after that, maybe we can talk about actually helping. I'm still in support of, hey, yeah, we want to call out evil when we see evil. We're not going to be like chilling in our homeland and let the Nazis take over Germany. But they are going to have to figure this out for themselves. This is their conflict. I don't want us getting involved. I do not want American boots on the ground in Israel.
absolutely not. That's a waste of our time. I'm fine with, and this is going to start a whole nother conversation. We do need to wrap this up if we want to talk about Minnesota.
We're not going to talk about Minnesota. We're going to have to finish up with Sudan.
Okay,
Yes.
all right, we'll talk about Sudan next. But what was I going to say? Yeah, I don't want American soldiers fighting for either side. I'm fine. It's of my opinion that funding Israel to an extent is a good move because Palestine is growing closer to nuclear weapons. Trump bombed a nuclear site in the past in Palestine, and
No,
it
that
only
was
sa-
that was Iran.
it was
Yeah,
Iran.
he
Was it
claimed-
Iran?
He claimed he bombed
it was
one, but
Palestine.
he didn't hit anything.
Okay.
He hit sites close to
Oh, in
uranium.
Palestine?
No, in Iran.
In
The
Iran.
point
In
is-
Iran, he didn't do anything. That bomb did not.
I
Well, in
think
fact,
The point
they
is-
didn't
that's
do anything.
propaganda.
They
Palestine-
didn't hit any uranium. It just made it look like they had.
Palestine's working on nuclear weapons. I think it's fairly obvious.
No,
and
they're
they're
not.
Not Palestine. Iran.
Palestine. Is
Iran.
Iran.
Yes.
What sort? What am I getting confused right now?
I think so.
Am I getting
Yes.
confused?
Iran was
Clearly
developing.
you are, because there's no way Palestinians in the West
Yeah,
Bank
they don't
or
have the
Gaza could make
resources.
What was I
nukes.
reading? Okay, well that's on me then. If I'm
If they
mistaken,
did,
I'm
all
mistaken.
those scientists would.
I'll come
dead.
back after I look that up again because I swear.
It was Iran. It's okay.
Well, then the whole point I was going to make is flawed, but
It's okay. I think you made a really strong point, and that
Yeah.
is we need to worry about America first. It's not America only. I do believe in helping other countries. I am also in favor of supporting Israel financially. However, if this stuff is happening, I think it'd be well on us to send CIA agents over, or I don't know, I don't trust the CIA actually, but
No one
send
does.
someone over that can verify if these things are happening. If that stuff's happening, I say cut
cool with
funding
that.
to Israel.
yeah, 100%.
And in an effort to curtail those behaviors. I don't want them to keep doing that if that's what they're doing. And I don't say that to say you're wrong. I genuinely am saying that. I don't know. If that's happening, I'm vehemently against it. You will never have a stronger supporter against that type of an evil action than myself.
Yeah, and those people who say America first, I feel like they really mean America only, because
Some
let's
do.
America first. Let's
Some do,
make
very-
our land great, but then we're so great that let's just not think about the people in Sudan who are going through genocide.
Again,
which is
And there
why
are
Sudan
absolutely
is why what's going on in Sudan is not making the news as much as it should, when it's the worst humanitarian crisis
there's
on
definitely
the planet.
people like that who are
It's
America.
most of the people in the mag base and in the Republic.
Yeah, there's
base.
more
It's
in
most of those
yeah,
grifters
Sure.
on
That's
the
fine.
Daily Wire.
Yeah,
and Fox
percentage,
News.
sure.
That's fine.
but it's not the overwhelming majority of any group at all. It's
Citizen base, yeah.
citizen based. Yeah, it's a minority group that's saying America only and this and that.
I agree.
When people hear the phrase America first, can we just understand that it means America first, not America only? That's why we said first and
right.
not only.
Right.
I mean, it's
Well,
I don't know why we're playing a gray area game. If I say America first, and I'm not targeting you, I'm targeting people who are not targeting. I'm addressing people who are confused at this as well. If I say America first, I'm saying America first. I'm not saying America only.
so before
And nationalism isn't bad either.
yeah, that's what I was going to say. So I want to switch to that real quick.
And let's define
let's talk about it.
nationalism before we talk about it. What is your definition of nationalism, Jeffrey?
Meaning that your nation is superior to the others, and America isn't. I think we're quite low compared to other nations in this world.
Yeah, I'd actually agree with you in
And I
terms
don't
of
care
freedom.
if anyone wants to call me anti-American or stuff. I didn't
No.
choose to be an American.
I don't think you're anti-American. Are you anti-American?
Well, currently in the state of the U.S., I think this place sucks.
Okay, so
I would
you
have
are
to agree with you. I
anti-American?
think we disagree on why, but I'd have to agree with you. I think in regard to freedom, this is the worst our country's ever been.
Yeah, 100%.
I detest all the stuff we've done in the Middle East, killing these people, bossing around these people, trying to build up these countries, trying to put our people in power in those countries. It always fails. And a bunch of people die. We upset all of the balance in those, I don't know if you can call it balance, but the status quo in those countries, and we make it way worse off than when we showed up. I absolutely agree with you. I detest all the war through the Bush and Obama era. Absolutely detest it.
Is there a but to this?
Yes.
Okay.
So nationalism is not here. I'll give my definition of nationalism. So if someone's meaning something else, then I guess it's just a difference in opinion. I don't think that America is better than any other country in regard to it's more important and screw every other country. I do think the principles of its governance, if they were adhered to accurately and constitutionally, I think it would leave us superior to any other nation in how it's formed, how it functions. That does not mean I want to destroy other nations. That does not mean I want to be on a racist rampage at furthering white supremacy.
Well, the thing is, pure nationalism is what is Hitler in
No,
the
it's not.
1930s. He believed
No.
that Germany was superior and that the Aryan race superior, and because of that, he invaded nations that weren't his and put people in concentration camps who believed were inferior and the cause of all the world's problems. That, to me, is true effing nationalism.
Well, let me finish. Nationalism was what he used to motivate people. I will agree with you. There is evil nationalism. There's extreme nationalism.
Toxic nationalism. You guys know that word.
Yes. So that is a perfect example of extreme nationalism. Hitler didn't care. Hitler was using that as a pawn to motivate people into action. He was saying that Europe's France and all these other countries have put down Germany for too long. Rise up and let's become great again. That's what Hitler was doing because it was a useful I know what you're going to say. I know what you're going to say. But the thing is that basically he was using that as a mechanism to motivate people into action. He did not give a damn about German nationalism, except for the fact that it was politically beneficial and expedient, okay? But nevertheless, the Nazi cult movement is an extreme nationalism problem. Okay. That's one element of why Nazism is evil, though. Nationalism is pride in country. I think you should be proud to be an American. It's why I've got this flag behind me. It's like a modified American flag. It's why we've got our 250th anniversary flag up. We fly our flags high.
That's why we have an amendment to our flag nation.
Second Amendment, and we've got our founding father there. So here's the thing. I think you should be proud of our heritage. We come from a founding of brave men that wanted to make a more perfect union, that wanted to make a country that was focused. It was by the people, of the people, for the people. That is the highest goal you can achieve or seek after in this world.
They claim that, but at the same time, it's only if you're really a rich white man.
No,
right?
they actually didn't agree with that.
No, systemic racism doesn't exist, but we can talk about it.
Well, that's a different video. Let's not get sidetracked. Okay, so, oh my goodness, I'm trying to keep this train together. Basically, what I'm getting at is nationalism is pride in one's country and not at an end-all, be-all. So if you, true story, if you put your Navy sailors out on a boat on a bunch of battleships and detonate a nuclear blast to test the effects of radiation on your soldiers, that's immoral.
Holy cuss.
Happened in the 40s and the 50s.
Who did it?
Us.
Oh, we did that.
We did that.
Why isn't that
You
taught?
want to know who?
I feel like people these days would eat that up to throw shade at America.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm telling you, the people that really know American history, they can throw shade at American history better than any leftist professor.
Yeah, and our nationalist government is trying to remove anything like involving bad
That's
history.
not true.
We don't
have a
what
nationalist
Trump is
government.
doing with banning
We absolutely
libraries
do
mentioned.
not have a
What
nationalist
about like
government.
that recent monument
Hey,
in National Park about slavery that was taken down?
I'm all
About
for
that.
banning books about transgenderism and sexual
Frick, yeah.
sexual
Let's burn 'em.
contact. Sexual
books.
contact.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with with racism, systemic racism, and history.
No, I'm not for
What's going
banning.
on?
If it's a historical book, there's absolutely no reason why it
Yeah,
should
but
be
that's
banned.
what exactly
Sexual-
what is happening in conservative America.
Sexual
right now.
porno books absolutely need to be banned from schools.
That's just
Absolutely.
fake outrage. Barely any
It's
of
not
that is
fake outrage.
It's
It's
not. No, I've
literally
actually-
freaking fake outrage.
So
let's
the
not
cool
get
thing
sidetracked,
is
though.
I've
Just-
actually
they take
picked up
one
those.
small example.
I've
and
actually
then they
picked
just
up
blow
those
it out of
books
proportion
and read
for
them
all the
before.
stuff.
As when I was working in Alaska, I actually picked up an actual tangible physical book and read about how I can cut off my penis if I want to. So they do exist.
They do exist, and they are in schools.
And that is sidetracked, so let's move on.
They're-
But
So,
schools.
okay, so nationalism is only an evil if it is pride in my country at all costs.
Yeah,
If
you're
you
never
are
gonna
going,
convince me like
I know,
nationalism,
it's fine.
you know.
nationalism is a healthy thing insofar as it does not go to the extreme of, oh, we murdered and raped all these people. Oh, well, we're Americans. We're better than everyone. That is not any nationalism I would ever sign
can
up
we
for.
agree on that definition?
Can you agree? Okay, we're not going to agree on the definition of nationalism, it sounds like. Can you agree that it is good to be proud of your country and your citizenship? At least just the fact that you're like, I love my country. If you lived in France, do you agree that it would be a good thing to be like, I love being a Frenchman. I love my country, even though it does some stupid things from every now and then, you know?
And that doesn't mean you support
like
it
President
100%.
Macron wearing, aviator glasses at the WEF forum, the World Economic Forum.
Whatever that was all about.
Yeah. That's something you might be a little embarrassed about as a French person. But aside from things like that, it's okay. We were embarrassed about Biden wearing those same glasses.
Aviators are cool. What are you talking about?
Aviators are tough, actually. But
Depends on the person behind the glasses. If it's Tom Cruise,
Tom
it's
Cruise.
awesome. If it's Joe Biden, not so much.
Maybe your eyes
Aiden?
just
Macron.
hurt from the sun. You know,
So,
who
But-
would want to wear sunglasses?
but that's what I'm
Good or
saying
bad?
is if you're a Frenchman, I think you should be proud of your country,
Yeah, I
despite the
agree.
flaws. But when something goes wrong, you should be bold enough to challenge it and say, hey, Mr. President, that's not okay. So for us, in this case, it's on all of us, but let's just say it's on conservatives to stand up to Trump when he wants to threaten the Constitution, to say, absolutely not, you don't get to take away trans persons' guns. Absolutely not. That is a legitimate thing that his administration has talked about.
He's actually trying to do that? He's legitimate.
There are people in his administration, in his cabinet, and I can't remember who the individuals
that's not
are.
constitutional, but it is a funny troll. I hope it doesn't happen.
I disagree with it. I think it's detestable. If it ever happens, I will absolutely be on this podcast detesting it and posting a video about it. It's absolutely terrible. So we don't want that. That's on us to stand up and say. So that's an example of nationalism not taken to an extreme. I'm proud of my country. I wear my colors high.
That doesn't sound like nationalism. That just sounds like simple pride to me.
Pride in country.
Yeah,
that's what I mean when I talk about nationalism.
Can you not be happy with where you live?
I mean, you can. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Thing.
So
there's also believing you're better than anyone else, and then believing you need to I don't know, just form like
did we want to talk about
like a whole death squad to arrest anyone who's not from here and like kick them out, even though like only
all of that
72% of them have like.
Well, he's talking about ICE.
Records.
I don't think ICE is terrible, but
yeah, you're insane.
Some things that happen, yes, are questionable, and I'm not 100% with ICE.
All of them is
the
questionable.
things he was
There's no redeeming value.
All right, if we're gonna talk about ICE, let's talk about ICE, but that we might have to put a pin in that.
Yeah, I don't think we'll have enough time, but we will have an episode 2. Let's see.
I'm concerned about is people's definition of not just nationalism, but of things, of everything. I mean, you said that you have your definition of nationalism, and that is your definition. You're not going to change that. You made that clear.
What do you mean by definition of everything?
Just of these words, of different words that we have, nationalism and all of this, and how right-wing means you're racist and homophobic. It's like it's not always black and white.
Right.
I feel like we need, like when we had that one episode with our friend that we talked religion with, we tried to set definitions straight, common among all sides, so that we could have an effective conversation. I'm worried. I was worried about that, part of that this weekend, that this world is just so skewed in its information and its definitions on things. That's part of the root of the problem.
Yes, I agree.
And if you're not going to change your definition, if I'm not going to change my definition, if he, she, they, them is not going to change the definition, then how do we fix this?
We're talking 2 different languages, or 3 or 4. Let me read this real quick. So here's the version that you're talking about, okay? This is nationalism, according to Merriam-Webster. An ideology that elevates one's nation or nationality above all others and that places primary emphasis on promotion of its culture and interests as opposed to those of other nations, nationalities, or supranational groups, which isn't even necessarily bad. Like, I want to promote American culture, not abroad. I don't care. Be Ethiopian or be Brazilian or be whatever your culture is, as long as you're not, murderous or rapist. I don't care. Be your culture over there. But in America, you better be sure that I want American culture to propagate and to spread. And that's not to exclude, like, for instance, Hispanic culture. I think there's room for Hispanic culture in America. You can go to, like, Chinatown.
I can't go without Spanish food.
Yeah. You can go to Chinatown and you get to have Chinese culture there. I mean, that might be a little more questionable because of the CCP, but whatever. So that's, even that first definition isn't necessarily bad.
I agree with you there if it's like pride, but you also believe that like there are cultures that are worth celebrating. I don't believe that all cultures are equal, because I know there are bad.
Right.
I'm not just talking about like singular countries. I'm talking about workplace culture. I'm talking about internet cultures and stuff. Some of them are like so outdated and don't need to be preserved, like some conservatives would want it to be. But nationalism mainly leads to like extremism and like believing that you're superior to others.
Let me finish.
If you let it get to that far.
Let me finish. There's 2 more definitions.
Well, that like mass like hysteria has happened before, which happened in Nazi Germany, which
I don't think we're anywhere
which meant
near
that
close.
Everyone in there, became delusional and stuff, and it's happened in America many times before.
Yeah, and if people are blinded by this idea of toxic nationalism, then they're absolutely in the wrong. I don't care if they're MAGA or if we voted the same. I don't care. If they're wrong, you're wrong.
I agree.
If you're being, if you honestly think that white is the best race, that America is the best country just because we are, then you're absolutely wrong.
Yep.
Yeah,
we're
flat
with
out,
you
for
on that.
sure.
Flat
Yeah.
out. White supremacy
But
is
that's
evil.
not
Agreed. Yes.
the definition of nationalism is not negative. Definitions can't be negative. Definitions are definitions. I mean, it's
Well, so here's the other.
I would
the
agree.
other
Words have meaning. I think they should have meaning. Words should not be open to interpretation, but rhetoric definitely does.
That's fair.
Rhetoric always
That's a
is
fair
open
point.
to interpretation.
So here's the thing. The other definition, which is completely fine: support for and promotion of the political independence or self-determination of a nation or people. Like, that's a very straightforward. Just, I want to decide. So, for instance, it's nationalistic to want to not be in the UN, or to not want to be in the WHO, or maybe not to be in NATO. Maybe that is nationalistic to want to be in NATO. Maybe it benefits us as a nation. But for instance, like, if we're in NATO and it's not doing us any good, then why are we in NATO if you're a nationalist? That's all I'm saying. So it's nation first, not the world and other countries first. If you're a globalist, then you believe that we should dissolve borders. You'd believe that we shouldn't have pride in nation. We should just all be citizens of the world. That doesn't work. It doesn't function
a horrible
properly.
idea.
It doesn't work. It never has. Because what happens is it's just like getting all these. It's worse than this. But let's say there's like different, like the Italians and the French and the Africans and all these different cultures, and they're all coordinating into their groups. It's like expecting them to all function as a city, but they hate each other.
Definitely
like-
doesn't work instantaneously.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
that would take years and decades to breed out, and it's not going to happen, by the way, because there will be people that lead like Hitler's. There will be people that will lead and try to, well, it's okay, we'll leave it, dominate their culture and spread their culture. But that would be like mixing all of these communities up and being like, okay, now get along. There's conflicting cultures. They can't even talk to each other. There's different languages. That's a big thing. Well, they have completely different ways of looking at the world. You don't see the world you don't see the world the way a person from China does. We see them in completely different ways. It makes it difficult for you to cooperate. That's the reason nation states exist. So it's a nationalist thing to say, I believe America deserves to be America and it deserves to be as it is. Okay? Yeah, there's some problems with our past, with territory and conquering and all those things to get to where we are now. I'm not in favor of us capturing more land and adding it to our arsenal of acreage. But I think that you can still have pride in your country regardless of your nation. That's something that Trump's encouraged, by the way. He's encouraged America first because we're American. But simultaneously,
yeah, he's a hypocrite on America first.
The leader of NATO, the chairman, I think it is, of NATO said Trump is brilliant and actually praised him at the WEF. This is not someone that's just a conservative guy, okay? He's saying Trump did something that never would have happened without him. He encouraged Europe to stand up on its 2 feet and make its own decisions and be the big boy now. Now we're not being babysat by America and its funding. We are going to have to get up and make some of our own decisions. And he says, I think that's great. I support that. And you all are going to hate me. He's talking to all the rich billionaires and world leaders around the world. Said that twice.
My favorite people in the world.
Oh, favorite. Just the people to be deciding what our future government will look like.
The old
all the
people.
billionaires
Yeah.
and
The
bureaucrats.
old white guys.
I
Yeah.
hope they're paying their fair share of taxes.
Did you hear the guy? Okay, this is a great little bit that we want to
Yeah,
talk
I mean,
about, and
You
then we'll
just
close
sound-
up. There was
just sounded like a socialist.
No,
just
I'm
then.
mocking socialism.
No, there was a guy.
Crazy idea.
There was a guy that showed up. He's like, I'm really disappointed. I was hoping there'd be more of talk about paying our fair share in taxes. These are some of the richest people. We've got
The
trillions.
freak?
He said we've got trillions of dollars worth of net worth here, all in this room, and I've only heard a 15-minute huddle talked about, and I was one of 12 people that went to it, and we talked about taxing the rich. I'm really disappointed in all of you. I thought it was hilarious. He called them out on their hypocrisy. That's basically what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're going to have to end here. I think we talked about a lot, but we definitely didn't even get to 25% of what we plan on talking about.
Yes.
So we're going to have probably a part 2 and part 3, get back to this and reconvene. Do you have any final things you wanted to say, though? I want to give you that opportunity.
Yes.
Just briefly.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of more I wanted to say, and is that I think our thing that is better than nationalism is unity. It's been shown many times. It's the reason why NATO exists and has created peace. When Trump was talking about travel bans on all Muslims, it was the ADL that came to to the defense of Muslims. When it was like the Pittsburgh shooting happened at like the Tree of Life Synagogue, there were so many Muslims that helped care for the people who were injured and gave them donations to like help.
What's the ADL again? Is the Anti-Defamation League.
Which
they're not biased. They're not biased at all. Mm-mm.
They have biases.
No,
but
not
like
all.
every source has biases. Biases are a part of everything.
I'm biased
here.
as frick.
Hey, you know what I mean? Yeah, you see what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna. You guys don't pretend like you're biased. You're not biased to show, and I don't either. And there's no reason not to.
Well, there's a difference because again, we don't pretend to be biased. We are very clear and transparent with people. The Anti-Defamation League is not. Like their CNN tries to play
And
as
CNN
unbiased.
And what makes
CNN's
you guys any different from them?
We admit that we're biased.
Yeah.
That's all it is. You cannot. There is no such thing as unbiased. There's no such thing as lack of bias. It's just admit it. It's like I'm
probably the most biased person I know.
It's like saying I'm a righteous person, and then you're not talking about all the sins you've made. It's like, no, you might as well just get right to admitting you're you're a sinful person and move on. You know, repent, accept Christ in your life. You know, all those types. Do you see what I'm saying? I'm using that as an analogy.
Okay.
Just admit your bias.
Of course, I agree with it there,
yeah.
and that's what we're doing right here at this table. Yeah. And again, finishing up my final thoughts is, please look up like before. Again, like you said, I might come to the show again, but do your research about Sudan, which is the worst humanitarian crisis in the world. There's no good people here. It's a full-on proxy war with the RSF and the ASF. The genocide against non-Arabic people in that country is happening, and it's so bad that that's viewed from space.
Yep, they have
satellite images to show the mass grave sites and the bloodshed that is going on.
You literally see red. You literally see red from space.
Yeah,
and
it's not communist.
Jeffrey's telling you to look it up. I second that too. I mean, I haven't heard anything about it, but I trust. I mean, you're a smart guy, and you're actually into this. Not into it, but
look up statistics on immigration detention in New York. Who's being arrested by ICE? How they're being detained.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
And why people are being executed.
I was just trying to hype up your message.
And why people are being executed in the streets of Minnesota.
I've actually seen the images in Sudan.
Yeah,
it's
look up Sudan if you want to look up
is.
Minnesota too. But I like what Jeffrey's saying. I mean, he does read this stuff, and he's a smart guy, and I trust that he generally does try to find good information when it comes to things. So yeah, look up Sudan, and we'll talk about it next time you're here.
Hey guys, thanks for watching this video. As you know the role, if you have any comments, comment down below, hit that thumbs up, subscribe button, notification bell, share with your friends, and don't forget, we've got our Patreon on the top right-hand part of your screen. Go ahead and subscribe to our content. We're going to be releasing some new specials that are Patreon subscriber only. Check it out. Take care.